We've got our eye on the Unnao rape case after the Supreme Court gave partial relief, so basically staying the High Court decision. But in 4 weeks' time, the accused, in this case, the person convicted, will be able to file a response, and the case will continue, especially for the survivor who's going to have to fight it from scratch all over again. We remember the visuals of the survivor, her mother, and the activist Yogita Bayana being dragged away from India Gate when they were protesting what has happened in this case. Yogita Bayana joins me right now. And for those of you who don't know her, and I've known Yogita for many years professionally, she is the founder of a NGO called Pari Foundation, and she's been fighting for women's rights and for victims of sexual crime since the Nirbhaya case. And she's fought and helped victims in over 1,000 cases through this foundation. She works specifically with children and with women and has played a pivotal role in amending the juvenile justice laws post Nirbhaya as well. Yogita joins us right now to talk about what is going on in this case, specifically from the point of view of the survivor, remember, whose identity needs to continue to be protected as per the law. Yogita, thank you for joining us and for the work that you have been doing for all these years, specifically on this case. Can you tell us what exactly happened when the Delhi High Court made that decision? Were you already with the survivor? Did she get in touch with you? How did you decide to protest?
Back then when this case happened, I always wanted to meet her, but she was in Unnao. But when she met up with an accident, when the case got transferred in Delhi, that was the time she had that severe accident when she was critical in hospital. That was the time I connected with her. I went to hospital, but of course she was critical. She didn't know that I had come to see her, but I checked on her, and I kept checking on her till then, like till she got discharged from the hospital, because she was there for a few months. So I kept a very close monitoring on her recovery, because she didn't know me, but I was there always in the hospital, making trips. So she knew there is a lady who comes and checks on me. And then when she got fine, when she recovered, and when she was talking and getting back to the fight, then we connected. And since then she's been with us in Pari, and we've been supporting her in various methods. Not legally, because legally she wanted to go with a particular advocate. So other than that, rehabilitation, she got married, now she has two children. And every day we were connected, almost every day, through my team. So we were trying to get her on track. We were giving her skill trainings. She wanted to work. She was taking a beautician course. So she was with us 4 5 days ago, and there was nothing like we could hear, sorry, about the case going wrong. Suddenly she's calling. I thought it's a regular call which she does to us. So but when she called again and again and again, and then I had, like, I said, what happened, what is wrong? Then she said, this singer's bail, he has been granted bail. And she was continuously crying. I could not understand anything. I said, tell me in detail, how could it happen overnight? And where are you? She said, I was called by the lawyer. I said, why you didn't tell me that? She said, because it was a regular thing, I didn't want to bother you, so I went alone. Though she has security, she has by security. And then she's I said, where are your lawyers, where is everybody, and what is this, that why he got bail? She said, I could only understand bail, because she doesn't understand English. So she says, I could understand he's got bail, that's it. My lawyer just said bail, and they went off. I said, how could they do that? They need to tell you why and how. So I said, okay, I'm coming to you. She wanting to go home and just, forget about it, because she was so heartbroken, and she was crying and howling, rather, I would say. And she wanted to go home to her husband. I said, you hold on there, I'll come there and we'll figure out what to do next. And we will handle it. So till the time we must have had around 25 calls, and I was constantly on call. By then I reached, High Court area where she had no clue how he got bail. So anyhow, so when I told her to call her lawyer, he was not taking her calls. It's been like 2 3 hours, and media got to know, and they were trying to reach out to her. And I said, let's gate crash your lawyer's office and see what happened, what went wrong. And you've been talking very high about him. I never intervened in legal thing, because you were very happy with his performance. So I went to his office, and it was very regular and very casual way. He says, okay, what next? I knew about this, I said, if you knew about this, why didn't you share with us? We would have done some, like, taken some, precaution, or we would have built some pressure. He says, no, no, I knew this coming, and the other bail also will happen soon, the father's murder case. So he'll be out. I said, how casually you can be and insensitive, and you need to tell her you were not even there, to resist it. He had some juniors sent for last crucial hearings. So I got little suspicious. I didn't argue with him, but I told him that, what is your next step? He said, we'll figure out after vacations. I was actually getting very agitated with his answer. The counsel we have had, matlab the girl has had, though it might be pro bono partially, but still he was accountable. He took that charge. He took that lead. He was to answer to us. So I was like getting little frustrated. This was now 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Before that, he was sounding busy and he was not even meeting us anyhow. So we felt so helpless, and he says, go protest me, you might get justice, because he knew my background. He said, go protest, you might get justice for her. And we both left. I mean, we both had, like, I don't know, mouth open, and we didn't know what to do next. And her mother was with us, and I sat with her in her CRPF bus, and we were taking round at India Gate. I said, let's sit here only. And she says, can we? I said, yes, there is no democracy. You can ask justice from anywhere. So we just picked up some plain sheets and just wrote whatever. You can see handwritten, very shabbily, though, but it made a big impact. And we sat there. We sat there without anything, I just didn't know what to do. And nobody knew about this case. So people were just passing by. They were looking at us, asking what is wrong. We were just sitting there. We're not even making slogans. We were so hurt. We did not even wanted to, like, didn't want to speak also. And she was crying continuously, and I met her, and then I, like, of course I took her there, and we sat there, and the cops came, and cops asked us, why are you sitting here? This is not the place to protest or raise your voice. I said, we were just sitting there, we are not even asking anything, we are just sitting with the placard with the message. They said, this is not the place. So we explained him that this is the case, or now case, today this has happened, so we want to sit here. Despite of that, despite of knowing Unnao case, they dragged this girl and her mother, and I kept telling them that this girl already had that critical accident, and she barely survived, and you can't touch her because she has broken limbs all over. She has rods and whatnot, stitches, and she's broken it literally, I would say, and she still has that zeal. I said, do not drag her, do whatever to us, but do not drag her. But they did not listen. You saw that visual, they lifted her. How mean was that? And I kept telling them, one of them was drunk also, and they said, drama kar rahi hai ye, like all that, those typical Delhi stuff, and they lifted. I think media definitely has a very big role to play. By then, a lot of media had come there, because I don't know, because it was a sensitive place, and they got to know. And I went on a live channel, where I told that I was sitting there. So I think that picked up, and that's what that triggered people, and the emotions, that how they treated that girl, despite of knowing her plight, and despite of knowing what she's gone through. And then rest, we can continue the protest.
Yogita, there is relief now from the Supreme Court, but do you believe that this would have happened if you had not protested and you had not brought the attention of the media?
I would say yes, because as I said, no, our lawyer was also very, I don't know the reasons, because I don't want to say he was sounding fishy, but CBI wouldn't have taken it, would have gone for sure as formality, but it would have taken its own sweet time, and we wouldn't have got justice, because CBI was just doing merely formality. Otherwise, they would have done a better job in High Court. Nobody resisted the High Court order, and no, and when they knew it is going in particular direction, definitely they didn't do their job properly. And I'm saying our counsel as well. However, definitely this credit should go to the protest, to her bravery, me sitting beside her or not, but definitely she is a very brave girl. Secondly, media, for sure, and those 5 days, 6 days on street, I think that triggered the national movement, and that is what got Supreme Court to work on it. And similarly, I think other issues also, they are now working under public pressure. Very unfortunate, But yes, in this case, it was because of that, for sure. I can't take that away from them.
In terms of security risk right now, what are the survivors' fears at this point?
She is very fearful, though she has security. Okay, she has got security, but what about her husband? He goes out for work. He doesn't have security. Her mother and siblings. She has four siblings, and they don't have security. They stay separately, and of course the people around. Now I'm also talking. I'm including myself in it, but there is some kind of intimidation which I can tell you later, because I'm just trying to do some precautionary work on that. So there is some kind of fear, and which is genuine, because it is not that something we are assuming it will happen. It has already happened to her. Okay, so she has already gone through this, and the people who were supporting her already have gone through this. So that the fear is genuine and fear is there. We can't deny that. And she is living a fearful life, though personally she is guarded. But how much can you live in that fear? Or even if you have gunners outside your house, but still there is a constant threat to her life and people around her.
Is she now, is her extended family being threatened now? You told me she was happily married.
Yes. Yes, she was very much happily married, and she was in it completely, and she that was the only coping mechanism she had, that she had a good family backing, in-laws. And now when I was talking to you, I've been getting constant messages that now in-laws are intimidated and they want to kind of uh, just take some
Let it be.
precautions, or they are now there is some kind of a tiff, for sure, because they have been also standing by her for longest time, and now if there is a threat, they will also have to be kind of dealing with it. So yeah, that's what, I'll get to talk to her, then I'll know the details. Yes.
The entire High Court decision was based on the fact that they argued that as an MLA, he is not a public servant, and therefore it does not fall into an aggravated sexual assault of a minor. Do you believe that this? What is your response to that argument at all? That the High Court viewed an MLA as not a public servant, and therefore not someone in power who can exercise that power over a child.
Judges are interpreting it like that, so we expect a lot from them. They are sitting in the high court, like it's like the supreme thing before supreme court, though. But when you have people sitting with that kind of a wisdom, or it is put on them, or whatever is the reason, but it's really disgraceful for a court to say that, because whether he's a public servant or not, it should not define, though technically, though we have severe punishment for public servants, but it doesn't take away the fact that he raped a minor. And minor, I was speaking to her, I asked her, the school they have mentioned in the order sheet, she has never been to that school. The school they are quoting as a private school, she has never been. They're not going by her date of birth, they are not going by her birth certificate and everything. They are just quoting a school she studied from, and she says she's never been to that school. So there are a lot of contradictions, I don't want to get into it, but major one is whether she is a minor or not, whether he was a public servant or not, she was raped. And for any rape case, when the new ordinance came, 20 years is minimum. So he has served 7 years, I mean, in one particular case, and then he has done what not. I mean, they need to see that. And I just want to simply ask High Court, if this was the case, the best judiciary we have is in lower courts. Let's be very honest. They at least they do their job, because they have a lot to do, because they are the, I mean, if at all there is some level left in judiciary, is on the lower court, because they need to perform. So if they have taken their time, if they have given this judgment, you are saying, okay, she was not a, matlab, what was that judge in lower court? It means he's
Yeah.
not done
CBI
anything.
Special Court. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So at this point, with this relief that the Supreme Court has given, obviously for with 4 weeks, there will soon be fresh arguments placed by Singer's team. Her team will have, CBI will have to respond, which means that all of this gets opened up all over again. It's going to drag out now for months and months and months. Mentally, emotionally, what sort of a space is she in?
No, she's not in good space at all after what happened, as I said. But she got a lot of public support, which is the only motivation she has right now. Otherwise, what I'm hearing right now, her in-laws are also not in that frame of mind. So, the whole thing, she has a 1-year-old daughter, 2-year-old, 3-year-old son. I mean, everything goes for a toss. You just can't be there for everyone and then fighting the battle, meeting so many people. It takes a toll on you, and you are always in constant fear. And now she's saying they are trying to dig out some old recordings. She's refused a narco test, and whatnot against the family. They are releasing some videos and audios. They're releasing a photo. You know actual photo, her marriage photo. So she's disturbed with all these things. And I keep telling her, don't check your trolling. People troll her also. And you saw one of the lady who reached out to the protest site with
Mm.
support banner. That disturbed her a lot. And she really wanted to counter her. I said, don't worry, I'll go on your behalf. I'll talk to her. I said, don't ignore these people. Just ignore them. Like, you do your bit, and that's it. We are with you. 99% people are with you. Even 1% or less than that. I would not even say 1%. I think that was the only lady, and another one so-called men's right activists are with that man. Two in India are with her. Rest are with you. So why are you worried? No, I have to ask her why she's here. So I went and asked that lady. I said, you sit here on protest. I'll check with her why is she doing this. Then I went to that lady and asked her and countered her, whatever. So I mean, she's not in definitely good frame of mind. She's fainting every now and then. She's not eating properly, despite of we telling her to take good care. It will eventually. It is about her, because I keep offering her, have some food, have something, eat something. You have to fight your battle. Then she's just not there.
Yogita, you've been working as an activist now for decades, since the Nirbhaya case, in fact. And I know that you've worked on some terrible, what would seem terrible to the average person. But this particular, balance of power between the accused and the survivor, and the fact that the accused has this unlimited ability to keep coming back. Do you believe that this poor girl is going to have the energy to keep fighting? And is this what happens across our country?
See, she has. I mean, let me be very honest with you. This particular girl has a lot of energy to fight. That's why it made our life easy in terms of, because she is very vocal. She's there. However, unfortunately, other victims, I wish we could do that for Kiran Negi, because didn't see that zeal and the parents left to fight. So I was there. In fact, it was a bigger fight than this. The protests were meant like in like multiple days. We were on streets, but unless that zeal is there, they give up very fast. But this girl, I don't think so. She'll give up. She's a different breed altogether. I mean, put it. This girl
There
has
was
a lot of.
there was one media interaction, Yogita, in which she mentioned that Brijbhushan Sharan Singh is also one of the supporters of Kuldeep Singh Segar. Is that true? How are they two connected?
So they are from UP, and they were in the same party. And then he was a MP, he was a MLA around the same area, and they are from the same fraternity, because they both are, I would say, rapists. One got convicted, one did not get convicted. One got away with it, one could not get away with it. But they are the same fraternity, supporting each other, their own profession, which is raping minors and abusing. So I'm really hurt that the party only terminated him but did not take any action. But he got away only with termination of as a member of parliament. But his son got ticket. So look at the hypocrisy. So unless we deal with these, he's very powerful, by the way. Because when I stood with wrestlers, he tried to intimidate me also, and he sent few people to kind of do some illegal, kind of some violence with me. He sent people. So, and it was a message. He's a very, very goon kind of a intimidating kind of person, and that's why even the wrestlers had to back out from the fight. This is very unfortunate. So this guy supporting this fellow is very natural and very filmy, though, it might sound, but
For our viewers who don't remember, Brijbhushan Sharan Singh was the president of the Wrestlers Federation in India, who was accused on multiple counts by multiple female wrestlers of sexual harassment. And he's still, I mean, he has not been held accountable. Yogita, I do want to ask you though, for the kind of work that you do with survivors of crimes of a sexual nature who need help, how much pushback do you get for standing by them in cases like Hathras, in this case?
powerful people are involved and high and mighty they are involved, I think there is a threat and there is always a pushback. People they have their own trolling army, they have their own goons around them. So that's, it's very given that they try to intimidate you. Something happened which I can't tell you right now, but it'll be public soon, that this particular person also tried something 2 days ago. So I think it is difficult, but yes, but when it comes to the cases where we do regular cases in terms of where accused is from a normal background, though, then it is still not that, kind of a pushback. But when you are dealing with these powerful people, it's very intimidating and overwhelming in every sense, physical harm, or you can say the trolling and the kind of abuses, or all these things altogether.
How can people support this survivor in her fight going forward?
We need to be with her. We will have to monitor the case closely and see if it is going derailed again. Like, we need to be with her, and whenever she needs us, we should be supporting her through social media, through however, whichever capacity. I think she needs some motivation, and she needs to know that people are with her. That's very important for her to know. So we should have a, like, she can connect. I don't know how, but for sure. Now she's very social media savvy, so she keeps posting her own stuff so we can follow her. Though her identity is hidden, but she has created a page. I'll check and share those details with her, with you, and so that we can support her, always be there for her.
Yogita, thank you so much for the work you do and for spending time with me and answering these questions. I hope we can stay in touch through the course of this case as well.
Thank you so much, Faye, for always raising the voice for women, especially that passionately as you do always.
Thank you, Yogita. Thank you.
Thank
All the
you.
best.